All right, today's subject here, complaint, noisy power steering pump. Let's just hear our sound. This is cold start. And the battery I gotta replace the battery as well. This is like the original battery. The battery's definitely old. Wet in here. I know it's been raining extremely bad, so it may look like there's an oil leak. Water's getting on there somewhere. We've been getting monsoon type rains, like in the rainforest. Look at the grass, it's patchy, water everywhere. Yeah. I don't want to get too out. Let's take it for a test drive. And yeah. Alright, let's go for a test drive. I can feel it already. I ain't gotta go far. This thing is terrible. We just gonna circle the driveway. Oh, this feels awful. Yeah, I'm not driving this, guys. This thing is... I can barely want to turn. Yeah, we're not driving this. This car needs some work. All right, let's get started. Right there. This pulls this way. It's kind of loose as well. All right, we're gonna disconnect the negative side with the battery. I gotta remove it, but look at that. The nuts for the battery holder. Let's spray them with some PB Blaster really quick. $10mm. Since I gotta remove this battery, I'm gonna take off both of them. I'll remove these when I swap the battery out later. All right, let's jack this thing up. The power steering pump is off in the back there. I'll show you guys the best method I'll take to remove this. All right, since there's rain forecasted, I'm gonna try to move quickly with this. I'm gonna use power tools for the purpose of the video to make it quickly, but I'll show you guys the hand tools you'll need as well to get done with this job pretty quickly. I got everything laid out right there. My jack stand. We're gonna shoot some PB Blaster on these bolts. We're gonna move this engine mount really quickly. 19mm deep well, 19mm socket here. These are the same. These are all 17mm. 1, 2, 3. And then there's one underneath this rubber brace. All right, while we're gonna let that penetrate a little bit, let's jack it up really quickly. So whenever I jack up a vehicle, I shake the wheel just to see for any movement or unusual play. And this has happened since around 15 when I got my first car. I had a bad tire ride in, and that thing was shaking like crazy. And she is experiencing shaking on the expressway with this thing. So yeah, we're gonna check out that as well and fix it. Most likely in another video, but I will figure out or find out exactly what the problem is so I can let her know. All right, let's take the wheel off. These tires showing signs of wear as well, and these tires are not that old. Look at the back. We just replaced these tires, I think, last year. So I'll rotate them before I fix the problem. She says she just got brakes put on here, but we're gonna figure out what's going on. All right, we're focused on the pump right now. One of those retainer clips already moved for this plastic cover, so we just gotta pop that one out. Really quickly, when I just removed the wheel, went back and forth with the rotor. So found out instantly what was the problem. The lower ball joint is bad. Watch this. There shouldn't be no movement in that ball joint. Let's zoom in a little bit closer. Let me show you guys. All right, well, we'll address that in another video. All right, so let's remove this plastic retainer. Since we're removing that upper torque strut mount and somewhat of part of the motor mount, just to brace off the engine, we want to support the engine. Otherwise, if you don't, you can put too much stress on that lower torque strut mount and possibly damage that bracket that goes from the mount to the engine block. So definitely want to support the engine, and I'll show you all what I'm doing up closely in a second. All right, since we're going to remove that top mount, you want to put a block under this engine. Don't want to jack it up directly from the jack. You need a block, something that's way more softer than this metal. I'm on the oil pan. I'm covering the wire spread out of the oil pan and using this back mount, this lower mount, as a brace. So we're going to leave it like that because we're going to raise the engine just a little bit, and I'll show you guys why. But all right, let's go to the next. $10 millimeter. Another issue, motor mount torn out. These are pretty cheap. They sell a set, the 4-piece set for both trans mounts and both engine mounts for like 50-60 bucks with free shipping. So I'll send her that. Now I see why she's noticing that jerking when she put it in gear. And this mount is torn out. So let's continue on with the job. Let's remove the serpentine belt. They go out a bolt right there too. Let me get a magnet and extract that bolt really quickly. Okay, yeah. So there's the tensioner. There's designated wrenches for these to remove the serpentine belt. And I'll show you what they are. I'll show you guys in a couple methods, but now we got the engine jacked up. We can raise up for a little bit more access even when we're going to take the power steering pump off. So look where we jacked that. If I can get kind of close under here to show you, we're not directly on the screw. that protrudes out. I don't want to be on the drain screw where it protrudes out at. Just want to be in the center and use that back mount for some support as well. So we can inch up on the engine a little bit. Jack down a little bit, raise up on it. It's gonna allow us to get that bolt or access that power steering upper bolt much more easier, as well as this tensioner. We got about a maybe 3 inch, I believe, 3 to 4 inches before that mount, for that lower mount tops off, or we go to hidden things. So we're pretty much clear. Like I said, I've done this countless times. All right, let's show you all which way to do that. Just in case you just have standard tools, you can use 2 wrenches, and I'll show you that as well. All right, so these are the wrenches that's strictly designated. This is remove any serpentine belt. I think there's a couple more I got, but these remove any serpentine belt or any size for any vehicle. The one we're working with is 19 millimeter. And there's a switch here that allows you to switch it up sides, or if the serpentine belt takes this drive or this size. But these are designed strictly for the height, no matter what vehicle, specifically for serpentine belt removal. Very valuable tool to have. So here's the 2 wrench trick. If you just have 2 standard wrenches, the top one doesn't have to match the size, as long as it's giving you some leverage and it allows you to bend that tensioner. So that's in the event you don't have a tensioner removal tool or a long enough wrench to get down there now. It allows you to remove that belt effortlessly. The very next thing we're going to do is extract as much as power steering fluid as we can out this reservoir. First, I'm going to clean up down here. We're not going to remove these hoses or anything. Let me clean up, just spray some of this stuff off so you guys can see what we're doing. We're going to clean up a little bit here. I'll be using this. When we get to the bottom, it's power steering fluid all over that pump, so we're going to use some brake and parts cleaner when we get down there. But here, we're going to use some of this. Just great to have around. Just going to spray. Just get some of this stuff clean real quick. I'm going to wipe it down. Let it sit for a little bit. Alright, got cleaned up. Kind of went a little overboard. Kind of clean up the whole area, but I want to clean up where the mount goes back at and this reservoir so we can get a reading. They're pretty clean now, so let's extract some of this fluid as much as we can. Just pours out. And all the hoses look good, inspected, no leaks anywhere. So no need to replace those. A lot of these hoses last the life of this vehicle. But yeah, we're good. All right, let's extract this fluid, show you what we're gonna use. So they have these pumps, cost like less than 10 bucks. I got quite a few of them laying around, but I brought this one out just to show you. You can remove the bottom half, and if it's too long to fit in there, and it got a gallon and quart top on it, made into the top, so you can screw it on a quart or a gallon. Place the water bottle here somewhere, and let's extract the fluid. Okay, we can put this back on there. This reservoir is empty. There's nothing in there. Took a few seconds. There's still some residual fluid inside the lines. We'll get it out once we remove the lines from the bottom with a catch pan. The very next thing we're gonna do is raise the engine to get that top bolt, and then we'll be at the bottom. We'll be done at the top for now. Here I'm showing you all that we're not hitting anything despite the engine being jacked all the way up as far as we can get it. There's nothing snatching in places, any holes pulling apart, all the wires are intact. And now we've freed up some room to remove this pump pretty easily. So much space we got to work with. Move that bolt easily. Get it off very easily. It's not the first bolt, it's the bolt behind it. There's a service port for this rod. I'll move it back here just for filming purposes only, but it'll be kind of in a way if you moved it back to remove this bolt. But I want to show you all close up. All right, we're done up here for now. Everything's fine. Now let's go to the bottom and remove this pump. Very next thing we're gonna do, lower the engine back down. Well, this pulley or the crankshaft pulley is gonna lower on the edges metal, and the AC compressor is gonna rest here. If you're not comfortable, figuring this edge may put a groove into the serpentine belt. It's not, but I'll show you guys what you can put in there, a little spacer for both, just to create a flat surface, but it's gonna be fine. I've done this countless times and never had any issues. But we're gonna lower it down as low as we can get it. They'll rest here and here. Let's do that now. If you do decide to go this route, there are some inexpensive cheap spreaders you can get, even more inexpensive than this. Just want to show you all what you can use if you decide to. Not necessary. Now that the engine is rested on this frame and as low as we can get it, we're going to remove the lines before we remove the lower or the final bolt. The bottom bolt is right there. Right now face. Let's zoom back so you, to get a reference of where it's at located. All right, let me show you guys underneath this thing. Let me get you guys as close as possible to easily removing these lines. All right, let me show you guys a couple things. To have all the space possible comfortably to remove this pump, as easy and simple as you can, this is the jacking point. This is the jack spot. All you need is a 3-ton jack stand. 2-ton, I wouldn't trust that. Me personally wouldn't use a 2-ton, but they're next to nothing. Just to have one 3-ton jack stand and this jack I'm gonna show you guys. There's a 3-ton jack stand and this jack right here. Also, I can trust. It's a 2.5-ton jack stand. I wouldn't even trust this. These are 12-ton jack stands, but I wouldn't even trust this. Just a 3-ton jack stand and a block behind the wheels. But these are something I recommend. I got multiple sets of these chocks. They're super cheap. I'll show you guys where you can get them from. They grip to almost any surface, whereas a board or a block can move back because it doesn't have grip like rubber. It'll slide back until you get it in position. Ultimately, it will hold, but not like these. These things contours to any wheel, no matter what size. We got one on each side. Also, I raised the car completely for filming purposes to show you all the best route or best angle to get this job done. And I want to check this suspension, show you guys this wheel. This wheel is tight like it should be. I'm moving it back and forth now. This thing is firm, so although the other ball joint is bad, might as well replace both. So here are the chocks. They're very inexpensive. I have 3 sets. I went on ahead and grabbed another set, so this is my 4th set. I'll just put them in my truck. I stay using these things. Very, very reliable chocks. Here's also some inexpensive jack stands, some 3-ton jack stands at that, for 43 bucks. And I believe there was a rebate on these as well. Just good to have around in the garage. And they got the safety clip in them or safety chain. Just some inexpensive, reliable jack stands. And finally, here's a 2-ton trolley jack. You can find a jack on Marketplace even cheaper than this, a 3-ton, and some jack stands for cheaper than this. Just showing you all some different options and trying to find something that's budget friendly and reliable. All right, so we're in place, we're in position. Let me show you guys the best route to get under here. And safety key for me, I got jack stands all over the place just to make sure I'm safe. This is not required. This is just for filming purposes to show you all the easiest method to remove this pump. Let's continue on. First and foremost, you're gonna need a small catch pan, just small, nothing this size. Something that's fairly small. You don't need nothing big. There's not much power steering fluid in those lines. We're gonna have a little something drip out, but that's fine. Let me remove this jack so I can show you all. All right, before we go into that, show you guys all you need right now. 10mm short extension, 1/4 inch. These are 1/4 inch drive. These are very maneuverable tools for such a small area. You can maneuver your fingers and your hands much easier with this 1/4 inch drive, 1/4 inch socket. To give you guys an idea how small this is, this is just the standard 1/4 inch drive size. But all these will work. But this, I got a few of these and I love these little things. Made by Power Built. Very small. Got a thick handle. Kind of allows you to get some torque on those bolts. But let me show you guys. Here I'm putting the light in place, but I'm also showing you all the approach or how to angle your body underneath the vehicle to remove those power steering lines pretty easily. You guys seen how I maneuver to go down in here. Be the same way for you all to remove this to get the best angle possible. You can see everything super clear right there in your face. You don't want to come through here, zoom out so you can give you guys a reference. Not through here. This is where you want to be at. This is your area to work with. That's everything in your face right there. You got 3 10mm bolts to remove, and we got a hose clamp to remove. I'll show you guys how to do that as well, because the other one, the new one, has a new fitting on it. We're gonna leave it on there just as it came. All we gotta do is check the bolt. In the past, I have seen just once where the bolt was loose on a new fitting, but let me show you guys. Let's zoom out. Let's zoom back again so you guys can see how I'm actually putting my hand up here. Look at this. I don't got small hands. I got some fairly large hands. And look at this. This is one 10mm. We just up there on it. Fairly simple. Zoom back out, give you guys reference. We have the engine lowered all the way down, which helps us with a little room. Post it being up some. And I can get this super easy right now. You can actually break it loose right now. Let me zoom in and show you guys. You can just break it loose. We'll leave it just like that. Although I showed you guys we can easily break the bolt. You want to wait to remove that line. We're dripping. We got the catch pan here, but we want to remove this line first. Another method you can use, I got this 10mm wrench. Look at the end of this wrench. 10mm wrench. We can get off like that. And let's try, see if you guys can use the standard ratchet. All right, we're gonna put this knob on. Okay, we'll show you guys another ratchet that I love. Very easy to use ratchet. You guys will zoom in and see it. So once we break it, we can screw the handle. Just a very convenient ratchet that's been with me forever. They got a new model now. Bought this thing well over 10 years ago. Just great for once you break it, you just screw the handle. I'm trying to hold the camera while I'm doing this, one hand, otherwise it's super easy. can get our long screwdriver and pull that line off. Don't forget the catch pan in place. We're already catching some of the drips. Once that stops dripping, we'll get the other line off. Show you guys what to use. All right, it's barely leaking. Let's just move it back here out of our way. We are going to change that O-ring. Show you guys how to easy do that as well. So now let's work on this line. We can get some channel locks to remove that, or some angle pliers to remove that clamp. And I'll show you what I'm talking about. But we're going to use something else I've had for years. You know, something if you do work on cars and you don't own one, it's just great to invest in. It's not as bright as it is before because one of my lights battery died, but we're gonna charge them up. But yeah, we still got some light under there. Removed it. Show you guys the tool I used. The clamp tool. Very, very convenient. It's actually a remarkable tool. I like that tool. It's one of my favorite clamp removal tools, and of course you can get away with some pliers easily. You got room in there. All right, let's remove the lower bolt and pull the pump out. So here's the clamp removal tool, guys. You can open up some pretty large clamps with this. Once it opens it up, it locks in place with those ridges. This is made, bought this a long time ago. I think they got a better model than this one, but this one still works, and I've used it a gazillion times. All right, very next thing we're gonna do is to extract, is remove this lower bolt right there, 12 millimeter. All the space in the world to get it. It's right in our face. Don't have to move anything. Don't need any swivel. I'm gonna use a power tool to try to speed this up. I wasn't using a power tool through this whole thing, but yeah, let's try to speed things up. Compare pumps now before we reinstall it. They're identical, even down to the fitting. Look at the grooves in the fitting. So you don't have to worry about getting the bolts mixed up. The two bolts we removed for this line, same size. And the two mountain bolts are the same size, 12 millimeter bolts, 10 millimeter bolts. We do want to make sure this is tightened and remove this. I paused here to say you don't have to remove that cap right now. You can wait till you install the pump. You'll have ample enough room just to pop it off once it's installed before you install that high pressure line, because lots of these pumps come from the factory pre-filled with some power steering fluid, and once you tip it over, it'll leak out. Plastic. So let's check and see if this is tightened down. If it's loose, we're gonna torque it to spec. Yeah, it's tight. All right, let's get our lines prepared. We're missing the O-ring for here, and when you buy these cheap aftermarket pumps, you know, you can expect this. Although it's come with a new fitting, which has a new O-ring on it, this one doesn't have an O-ring. I guess they expect you to use the old one, but we're going to replace it. The O-ring is just as old as the pump. It appears to be the original pump, so let's swap out that O-ring. Just use a pick tool to remove it from that line. Let me show you all that real quick. So if you look at the angle of these picks, these two will probably be best to remove the O-ring. Not only does it pulls it out of that groove, it hooks it like a fish hook, allows you to pull it off. So we'll use this one because this has some length. This one will work really good as well. Kind of short, but this has some length. It's pretty long. It's about 10 inches long. So I got the line in my hand, pulling it towards me, and I'll use my other hand to use the pick tool to remove it. I'm trying to hold my camera here to get a good view of it, but let me show you all how it looks. Just hook it off. Well, I had it. It takes a second to do. I'm gonna pull it off. I'm trying to do it with one hand when I get it. Let me get it off. Next thing you want to do is swing the hose with the hose clamp on it to the top right here. You have access to it. So all we're going to do is just push it back some. We're not going to remove it. The clamp seems to have good clamping force. You can't replace it if you want to, but this, the hose line in, this is fine. Push it back down. So here's our O-ring. Remember, it didn't come with one, so we're gonna take our assorted ones and match one up. Should be one in here close. These appear to be the same diameter, but this one's a little thicker, which is even better for a tighter seal. That's it. That's our same size. This is it. This is the one. And I can assure you that this one was probably equally as thick as this one when it was first installed. This has been stretched out on that hose since 2009 or 8 when that car was made. It's a 2009, so it most likely was produced in 2008. This is what we're going to use. All right, let's go put this back on the line and we should be good. So look at my finger. Got this on my finger. We're just going to roll it up there. I can't do this with one hand, but it's on my finger. It's super easy since we can pull the line towards us. Couple seconds. All right, we're ready to go back up with the new pump. We're gonna install it the same way we did and get that bottom bolt started. That's it. All right, so this is what we're aiming for. Let's push it back in there. We're gonna get that bottom bolt started. You want to tighten it until there's tension on it so you can swing it back and forth, but have some tension on it. This pump does come pre-filled with some power steering fluid, so we're leaking out a little bit, but it's okay. Let's tighten it back up. Just want to snug it so it can be some tension on it. Now let's reattach the hose and the line, and then we'll go back to the top when we install that final bolt and the rest of the things we removed. Just kind of working in reverse here. All right, let's do that right now. You can also see how that O-ring seats off on that line too. Give you another in-depth look at that O-ring. All right, look where it aligns at. We're just gonna slip that hose on there. Well, remember, this pump still has play in it. All right, you can see how I got it up there until you want to get it up there till it bottoms out. Super easy to do. You can come down just a little bit more with the hose clamp. You can see the grooves, so we'll pull it down just a tad bit more. Super easy. Once we get this hose out of our way, I'm trying to do this with one hand with the pliers. I think that's it. There we go. That's it. We're on now. All right, let's get the other hose on and get it started. Once we get it set in there, like so. Let me put some grease on this O-ring. Just use some of our pan. Just go up with this line. And work it in there. You can see we got down a little further. As you all seen, we had to pry it off. That O-ring not only creates a seal, but it creates a suction, and you got to kind of work it on there. So we're gonna use the bolts. We're gonna go back and forth with the bolts. All right, we're perfectly on. Let's get a torque wrench, tell you guys the torque specs. And then we'll go back up top and buckle up and then put the belt on and pour some power steering fluid and we're done. But yeah, look at that. Everything is all good. Now that we got those torqued down, let's raise the engine back up, finish up top, and then we'll, once we tighten up top and torque everything up top down, we'll come, once we raise the engine back in place, we'll come torque that final bolt, and we're done. I do want to show you guys how that's seated as well from the opposite side. We got the hose seated perfectly on both sides, both hoses. To move those out of our way. Once we raise this engine back down again, it'll be in place because that motor mount will have it in place. Got the engine way up so we can just see where we got to go. And remember the pump, there's play in the pump because we didn't tighten that bottom one. We should be able to get that. So we'll get that started. I'm not gonna hold the camera. I gotta put the camera on charge and clean my lens better. I wasn't gonna film this part, might as well film everything. You guys can see just holding in my hand like so, just to get it in that hole. You got it in that hole. It kind of went all the way in. We don't want it to go all the way in. Let me pull it back out some. All right. Because once you pull it, once it go all the way in, it's hitting the back of the engine, so it won't be able to go down on there. But there we go. We knew how close it was in correlation with that other bolt. It was adjacent to it, not parallel to it. And just pull the pump up a little forward a little bit and get that thread started. I know my arm is in the way. Very easy to do. We got it started. We started already. Look how close it is. So that's where you want to be in that vicinity. Look where we at. Very easy, very simple. All right, let me twist it down, put a socket on, just put a deep well socket to get it all the way going. Wipe my hands off from some of this grease. All right, since the head of this torque wrench too big, see how far it sticks up? It's too far. It'll hit the pulley before it actually can get a socket on there. But got a vintage one, old school. Got a few of these laying around. This fits perfect on there, perfect. Got a big draft socket as well, 12 millimeter. You can use a swivel on a 1/2-inch torque wrench, or you can get a 3/8-inch torque wrench, and that'll work fine as well to get on that bolt and torque it down. It's easy to read. Very easy to read. Let's reinstall these mounts before we go back to the bottom and torque the last bolt. I'll be speeding the footage up here due to the length of this video. I'll add torque specs as I install each individual piece. You guys will see that, but just trying to save back on some time here. It's just a reverse process of how we removed everything. That's all it is. Alright, that's done. The next thing we're going to do is put this belt on. Super easy. Alright, let's make sure our belts are aligned beneath before we put it on the final ones, the alternator. We're going to get it in place. Put it on, so look underneath. We're aligned on power steering pulley, crankshaft pulley fine. This is where we're going to get our slack from, here. And that's perfect. As long as it's riding here, you're good. It's going to pull up in place. All right, the belt is on. Super simple. Show you guys how it looks underneath. Fully perfectly on. Perfectly on. Power steering pump. We're good. Right at this moment, I brought my torque wrench down and tightened that bottom one up. I thought I pressed play on the camera, but obviously I didn't. I don't have the footage. So tighten it up right here at this point here, at this time of the replacement. Tighten and torque this bolt down before you move on to the next step. Alright, now we're gonna pour some power steering fluid in the reservoir. This is what we're using right now. But we're not gonna start the vehicle. Yeah, I gotta replace this battery. So while gravity is kind of taking this course on it, I'm gonna pop this wheel back on. We know we have to replace ball joints on here and through motor mounts. I'm gonna replace this battery really quick before we come back to this, and then bleed it out manually then with the vehicle turned on. Since the plastic retainer that we had here, it's kind of broken. That's why I was barely holding on, although it was fastened. It was not holding in place, and there wasn't one here. So we're just gonna install a new one. We'll find one to fit those holes perfectly. I think this is fine here. All right, perfect. All right, let's go to bleed this thing and then I'll be done. Okay, I got the battery changed now. Just a quick side note, I did a video on how to replace the battery in this vehicle as well. It'll be dropping not that far from this one, so be on the lookout for that one. Just want to note that. Got the fluid, power steering fluid right at the upper level. Just a tad bit under it. So we want to put the top on just a little bit, like that, like so. And let's go bleed it manually and show you all. With the vehicle off, you want to rotate the wheel back and forward several times, as well as when we start the vehicle, we're going to do the same procedure, rotate it back and forward several times, and that should just about get it. All right, let's inspect for leaks, because trust me, it'll be leaking right now if we got some messed up hoses or something. Let's get under here and inspect for leaks. Nothing. Let's zoom in even further. Nothing. All right, I can put the wheel back on now. That's why I didn't put the wheel on. All right, we'll put the wheel on. We're gonna start up, finish this thing off. First, let's top it off first. Let's top it off. Quite sure it went down a lot. Let's see. Oh, wow. Down a lot. Look, it's almost empty. You can barely see it at the bottom. All right, let's top this back off at the upper, and then we're gonna start it. So now it's topped off. You can see it just a tad bit under that line. That's fine. Put this top on and start the vehicle, and let's beat it up. All right, vehicle running. Still gonna inspect for leaks as it's running. Nothing, no issues. Things moving smoothly. All right, let's bleed this thing out and wrap this up. It's a wrap. Let's go inspect one more time for leaks, but we're fine. Another successful job for the channel. All right, one last final inspection. Okay, let's top it off a little bit more. We went down some and we'll be fine. We'll go just a little bit above that first line and we're good. Let me do that now. Put the wheel on, remove those chocks, and it's a wrap. This is after the vehicle's been running, so if we got something, we got something now for sure. Flawless. All right. So now that we don't have any leaks, before I do put the tire or wheel on, I'm gonna spray some of this cleanup in there. I don't want to just clean up in there really good and we have a leak and have to do it again. So just to save back on cost, and this is on a budget, clean last for me. Now it looks much better. Much better. Much better. down, topped off, just where we want to be at. Tab it under that top line and start it up. Take it for a test drive. All right. Let me get the hood down and we're gonna go for a test spin. All right, we got a little bit more work to do to this thing to get it right. It runs great. We already know that the steering feels good now. Back super quiet and driving well. Gotta put my seatbelt on though. Let me put my seatbelt on. All right, guys, it's a wrap for this video. Hope you guys found it helpful. Thank you so much for watching. Hit that like button for me if you do like the content. Once again, thank you. Terrence, and I'm out.